Okay, welcome everyone, and thank you very much for waiting as we're 29 Zoomers strong this Matzah Shabbos, sponsored by A.B. Spry, for Nachas from the whole family, and by Michal Avram Chavin, who I think is a little bit under the weather. He should have a refuah shalem and b'sech shecher Yisrael. And we are, we'll also learn for one of our mispalim who's in the hospital, Yoel Samet, Yoel Ben Frumet. He should have a refuah shalem and b'sech shecher Yisrael. And we are holding by Maskiv Lorav Chaga, which is on the bottom line of Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis. Bottom line of Kuf Yud Gimel Amid Beis. We said that in the event that Eddie owes me money, because, Eddie gets started bright and early over here. Eddie owes me money, and I took away from him as collateral a silver plow. So I have to make an adjustment and provide him a regular plow and take the differential of a silver plow. So the Gemara says, but v'lei malei, why should I have to worry about taking care of him and providing him a regular plow? I should say, lava lai karamis. He's not my responsibility. If he needs help, his needs should fall upon the whole community, the entire community. So Abaye says, no, Ivra alei karami, his responsibility does fall upon me, because it says, Mishum shenemar, the pasuk says clearly by me when I give him this consideration, and for you it will be considered a righteous act, a charitable act. So it is my responsibility. I got thrown in together with him when I initially gave him the loan. So now the Gemara declares what we were talking about before. Ma'ushi yisadru b'bal chayv. Do we say that just like by Arochin, where if, let's say, Yisrael said, Erki alai, my value upon me, if he didn't have enough money, so we make a assessment and we leave him certain basics. Do we do that for a debtor as well? Maushi Yisadru B'Bal Chayv, Mi Gamar Micha Me'arochin. Do we learn out Gzeir Shava? It says in Mochu by Arochin, and it says in Mochu by Bal Chayv. Oiloi. So Tashma, the Shalach Ravin Igrose, Ravin sent in a letter, Dover Zeh Sha'alti L'Kol Rabbi, this matter about whether you're Mesader for a Bal Chayv, I asked my Rebbeim, V'loi Amru Li Dover. They didn't tell me about a Bal Chayv. Bram, in truth, Kachoi Sheila, there was another question that was answered. Ha'omer Hari Alai Mana Lebedek Abayis, if Eddie says, I accept to give $100 to temple maintenance. Now that's not Arochin. It's straight dedication to temple maintenance. Ma'ushe Yisadru. Will they make an allowance for his basic needs before taking the money? So Rabbi Yaakov Mishmei de Bar Poda, Rabbi Yirmiyah Mishmei de Ilfa Imre, Kal v'chaymer mabal chayv. Ma bal chayv shemar zirin. The din is that if you take security initially, you return the security when the bal chayv needs it, right? Up till 30 days, you return the security. Yet ein mesadrin, yet we don't make an allowance. So this is an answer that by a bal chayv we don't make an allowance. Hektish she'ein machzirin. Hektish, where you don't have the leniency of returning collateral, returning security the first 30 days. Einoi din she'ein mesadrin. We surely should not make an allowance. Rabbi Yochanan says, no, we do make an allowance when Eddie says that he's going to dedicate $100 to temple maintenance, because we learn a hekesh A hekesh is when two subjects are next to each other in the Torah. And it says, Nodar be'erkecha, you vow a value. So neder is monolabet kabayis, and erka is arachin. So ma arachin misadrin, we allow allowance for basic stuff. Af hekdesh misadrin. The idach, he says no, we use the juxtaposition for a different din. Hahul nidain b'kfayda Yehuda asid. That comes to tell you that we judge a limb according to its whether it's a vital organ. Ma'arachin, if Eddie says, my heart upon me, so then he has to give his whole value. Nidain bikvaida, he has to give his whole value, because since he can't live without his heart. It's as if he says, my value upon me, af hektish, so also if he says he's dedicating to hektish his heart, the value of his heart, Nidain bikvaida, he has to give the full value. The difference between arachin is a fixed formula depending on his age and gender, but value, damim, means the full value. So if he says he's giving the value of his heart, he has to give his full value of his person. Says the Gemara, okay, but now let's play it the other way around. The Yisadru b'Balchayv, we should insist that we should give an allowance for a Balchayv, Kal v'chaymer me'arachin, a Kal v'chaymer from the case of arachin, Uma arachin she'ein ma'zirin. We don't return the security in the night when he needs it. Misadrin, we give allowance for basic items. Balchayv shemachzirin, Balchayv, where we have to return the security in the night. Einoi din shemisadrin. Surely we should give allowance. Says, well, you're right, but there's a miyut. Amakra v'imochu mi'erkecha, and it says who is the limitation? If he's poor, who only by arachin, b'loy balchayv, and not a balchayv. Idach, hi. When it says mimachu me'erkecha, hai achyehu b'mechusay metchilasay b'atzayfay. The only time we give an allowance is only if he was poor from beginning to end. But if he was poor at the time of loan, but he became wealthy at the time that he has to pay, we don't give an allowance. Says the Gemara, okay, but now let's say the other way around. V'yazu behekdesh, we should return security in the night when he needs it. Where we said Shein Misadin, we don't make an allowance for basic living things. When we return security in the night when he needs it, Hektish Misadin ain't a din Shemachzirin. Amakra, the pasuk says, Vishachav Bisalmasai, when you return the clothing, the pajamas in the night, Uveirachecha, he will bless you. So it only applies to something that needs blessing. Hektish doesn't need blessing. Yatsa hektish ain't sarach bracha. Says Gemara, but that's not true. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants a bracha. V'lai, v'ksiv yachalta v'savata v'irachta Hashem l'kecha. You'll eat, you'll be satisfied, and you bless Hashem. So you see, Hashem wants our blessing. Ela Amakra, it says about returning the security, u'lecha tiyeh tzedakah, and it will be considered for you a charitable act. Only that which needs tzedakah. Misha tzarech tzedakah. Yatsa hektish, hektish doesn't need any charity. Shein tzarech tzedakah. Ashkechei Rabba bar Avua le'Eliyahu. This is a very interesting story. Rabba bar Avua found Eliyahu. He was in a Goyish cemetery. Amalei, so he said to him, Ma'ushi Yisadru b'Balchayv. He asked Eliyahu Navi, what's the din? Do we allow allowance for a Balchayv? So he says, yes, we do, because we learn out Gzeir Shava, Micha. Amalei Gamar Micha me'arachim. Gabe arachim ksiv imachu me'erkecha. If he's poor from his that which his value is, and Gabe Balchayv ksiv v'chiyamach achicha. That's the first question he asked. And then, as we turn to the first page of tonight's daf, Minayin la'orim shelo yitrum. How do we know that somebody that's naked should not take truma? Now, of course, somebody that's naked could separate truma. The problem is that you have to make a bracha. And as we'll see in a moment, you can't make a bracha when you're naked. And there should not be seen in you ervas davar, a manner of nakedness. And we darshan davar from lashon dibur. And that means when you say Hashem's name, you shouldn't be naked. So therefore you shouldn't separate truma because it needs a bracha. And you can't say a bracha when you're unclothed. So now he asked Elio is Pinchas, as it says in Inoisin Loi Brisi Shalom, my covenant of peace. So Pinchas was a Kayin. As a Kayin, he asked him, how could you be in the base of Kvaris? Amalei Lav Kayin Humar, isn't the master a Kayin? My time a Kayin Mar base of Kvaris. Why are you in a cemetery? Now remember, it was a Goyish cemetery. So Amalei, Elio said in surprise to Rabbi Baravua, he said to him, are you not familiar with Seder Tyrus? Amalei loibas neimar Tyrus. The Tanya Reb Shimon Yochai Omer, Kivreyen shaloib dekachavim ein metamen. The graves of a guy is not metamen ba'oil. In other words, if you step over and you mal over the grave, it's not matami. Why? Because it says in the pasuk, Odom ki yamas ba'oil, and that's where we learn our tumas oil, and it says the term Odom. And Odom doesn't refer to a guy. As the Gemara says, Shenema va'aten tzaini, you are my sheep, tzain mar isei, the sheep of my grazing. Odom atem, you are Odom. Atem kriyim Odom, you're called Odom. And a guy is not called Adam. And therefore, since it says Tumas Oil by Adam Kiyamas Ba'oil, so it's only by a Jew and not by a guy. And by the way, we would think that Adam is the most base name for a human, because Adam means Mino Adama, from the earth. So we would think, if anything, a guy should be called an Adam, not an Ish, not an Enosh, not a Geber. So the Bina Le'itim asked this question. The Bina Le'itim says that of the names of man, Ish, Gever, and Enosh are in plural. Anoshim, Gvarim, and there is Ishim in Tanakh. But Adam is never pluralized. There's no Adamim. And that's because Jews are really one, right? Ish echad b'leiv echad. We were shivim nefesh, not shivim nefashos. So only Klal Yisrael has this unique actus, and that's why they're called Adam, which is never pluralized. The Nitziv says another remarkable pshat. The Ritziv says we're called Adam because Adamet le'elyon. We are like the one on high. And only Jews are considered to be like the one on high. In other words, that level of halachta b'drachav, and therefore that level of emulating their Creator, and therefore only a Jew is considered Adam. Now, over here, Rabbi Baravua answers the question that Elio asked him. Are you not familiar with Seder Tyrus? Amalei, so he answered him, Ba'arboloi Matzina. I can't even get a full grasp on Moed, Nashim, Nezikim, and Kochim. Beshita Matzina, do you think I could also learn Zram and Taris? Amalei v'amai, so he says, why don't you have a grasp on these things? Amalei dechikali milsa. It's hard for me. I don't have panasa. I have to spend a lot of time making my panasa. So Dabre, Elio took him v'ailei leGan Eden and brought him into Gan Eden. Amalei pshoit glimech, take your cloak and safi shkol mahani tarfei, and take some of these fragrant leaves. You'll be able to sell them for millions of dollars. So safa shakel, so he collected leaves. Kiave nafik, as he was leaving Gan Eden, Shama, he heard a voice, the Ka'amar, who saying, Man ka'ochel almei k'Rabba Baravua, who's using up their olam haba like Rabba Baravua. When he heard that, he dumped the leaves. Nafetz Shadinu. He turned it around and dumped the leaves. But Rafilu Hachi Aisya Leglime, he brought back his cloak, and Sachat Glima Recha, the cloak itself absorbed the amazing fragrance of Gan Eden, and Zovnei Betreser Alfei Dinare, he sold his cloak for 12,000 dinarim, a princely sum, and Palginu Lechas Navase. He came back and he gave it out to his son-in-laws. In other words, he didn't want to benefit from it himself because he didn't want to deduct from his Olam Haba. He didn't want to give it to sons because sons are Karad Avua, extension of the father, so he gave it to his son-in-laws. Tan Rabbanan, the im ish anihu, if he's a poor man, loy sishkeiv ba'avoitei, then the security that you take from the poor man, you shouldn't sleep in it, but you should return it to him so he could have pajamas. That implies, the Gemara is surprised, but if he's a rich man, then you could sleep in it? Does that mean that you could use the security? Ha-ashir shachiv? My kamer, you're not allowed to use the security. Amar Rav Sheshes haki kamer, im ish anihu, if he's a poor man, loy sishkav, don't go to sleep, v'avoitei etzlecha, with the security by you, rather you should give it back for the night. Ha-ashir, if he's wealthy, then shachiv v'avoitei etzlecha, you could sleep with the pajamas with you, but of course you're not allowed to use it. Tan Rabbanan, hamal ves chaveirei, if I give Eddie a loan, ain't a rasha l'mashkin, like we said, I'm not allowed to come into his house and take collateral. The ain't a chayiv lahavzalai, I don't have to return it to him. And if I don't return it to him, v'oiver b'kol hashemes halalu, I transgress all of the lavim that we mentioned. So what's going on? You tell me I'm not allowed to take it, and don't have to return it. What's going on over here? My commerce. So the Gemara is going to have to amend this. The Gemara amends the whole thing. If I give Eddie a loan, ain't rash l'mashkina. Like we said, I can't seize security. If I do seize it from him, I have to return it to him. And if I don't, Hashem is halal. Asif, it's going back at the end. And if I take it against the law, then I have to return it to him. If not, I'm over all of the lavim. Rava says, no, haki kamer. Hamal ves chaveiroi, if I give a loan to Eddie, ein rash l'meshkinai. V'imishkinai, if I take the mashkin from it, chayiv la'arzalai. Well, when do I have to return it to him? That's only if I take it at the end. That means that if the court, the agent of the court stands outside and gets a mashkin, then I have to return it to him in the night when he needs it, or in the day when he needs it. That I have to return it when he needs it, where I take it as security when the loan is due. But if Eddie gives me pajamas or a plow at the beginning as collateral, then I don't have to return it. That's talking about the case where I took it at the end, in other words, the Reisha, and I don't return it, Aresha. Tani Rav Shizbi, Kami de Rava. Now here we're just going to have a mistaken idea of what the pasuk is talking about. Tani Rabbana. Not Tani Rabbanan. Tani Rav Shizbi, Kami de Rava. Ad ba Hashemes tishivenu. Before the sun sets, I should return it to him. Zuk sus laila. Now that doesn't make sense. Before the sun sets, I should return what I took for him for the day. One second. Second. No. Ad boy hashemesh. Until the sun sets, tishivenu. So that would make sense that means something of the day, that I have to leave it by him during the day. And the Gemara surprisingly says, Zuksus Laila. That doesn't make sense. Why do I have to leave the pajamas until the sun sets? You should return the security when the sun sets. Zuksus Yom. Now that also doesn't make sense. I don't have to return the Ksus Yom in the night. That's when I'm allowed to have it. So I'm late. So the Gemara says this is all confused. Do Yamama B'Lelia the day for the night, Lamali, or the Laila B'Yamama Lamali, the night by the day? Why is that needed? It doesn't make sense. Amalei, so he said to him, Ismaya, should I erase it? Amalei Lai, no. Hachi Kamer. Ad Bayashemesh Tishivenu Lai, until the sun sets, it should be returned to him. That makes sense. That's Ksus Yom. That's day clothing. Day clothing should be returned to him until the sun sets. Because you could keep it as collateral in the night. On the other hand, you should return him the security when the sun sets. That's the pajamas that you should return to him when the sun sets. You're allowed to have it during the day. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. Mishkanai umeis. If you take them, let's say Chatzkel took a loan for me, and I took collateral umeis. I have his pajamas, and he dies. Shaim toimi al gabe banav. I'm allowed to seize the pajamas from the children. Now that's strange. Metaltal and the yasmei loy mishtabedil balchayv. Movables of orphans is not meshubed. Now, if I already have the pajamas, so then you'll say, since I have it, I could keep it. But if I had returned the pajamas in the night, why am I allowed to take it from the orphans? They have it now. It's metaltal and the yasmei. So the Gemara asks, Meisvei Amra Meir v'chime acher shemamashkinan after you take the pajamas, lama marzirim. Why do you return them? So the Gemara said, what do you mean, why do you return them? The Torah says return it to him because he needs it in the night. Lama marzirim. Why do you say, why do you return it? Rachmana Amar Ahader. But the Gemara says, why do you keep on playing Ring Around the Rosie over here? Why do you keep on giving it back and forth like a yo-yo? If you're going to return it in the night, lama chayzer mamashkinen. Why do you take it back again? What are you gaining from taking it back again? So the Gemara says, you know why you take it back again? Shaloite shvius misham tasei. That if shvius comes, it won't release the debt because you have the pajamas by you. And if he dies, it won't be movables by the Yisayimim that you won't be able to collect. But the implication is, but it's only because you took it back. But if you didn't take it back, it's by them. Then you're not allowed to take it when Chatzkel dies. I'm not allowed to take it. Says, well, no, we have to tweak it. Amar of Adabar Masna. We had to tweak this anyway. So Torah Tzaki, tweak it as follows. After you have to keep on returning it in the night, why take the collateral in the first place? So for that, the Gemara says, once it's collateral, even when you return it, Shemitah is not Meshamet, and it's not considered Metaltal in the Yasmei. Shalai Tei B'Shvias Misham Tasei, but Shemitah shouldn't cause it to be released. It doesn't come Metaltal in the Yasmei once it has the title of security, even when you give it back and he dies. So, but Taisus asked the obvious question, and Taisus asked, but tell me, why do you take it again? Now we're not answering that question. So you took the security, so now it has a din of security, Shemitah is not Meshamet. You took the security, so now, even if he dies, you could take it back. But once you return it, why do you take it back the next day? Even if you don't take it back, you're allowed to take it from the assignment. You're allowed to, Shemitah is not Meshamet. So Taisus answers a practical answer. Taisus says you take it back every day because that's going to be embarrassing, and because of the embarrassment, he'll make it his business to pay up the loan. It gets him to pay up the loan quicker. Okay, Rabbi, so we're just going to change the channel over here.